To me, a film is defined by its ending. If a film drops the ball in the last act or ends abruptly, it'll sour my taste in the film as a whole. But if a film has a really good ending that is unexpected, makes sense, or even redefines everything you've seen earlier, I'll leave the theater a happy man. With that said, here's my 10 favorite movie endings of all time. Obviously there will be spoilers ahead, and feel free using the video chapters to skip parts of the video. If you think I missed any on the list, tell me in the comments. The Great Silence is Sergio Corbucci's magnum opus, a spaghetti western that's as cold as its setting, as dark as it looks, which is no better exemplified with the ending. Loco, played by Klaus Kinski, challenges Silence, played by I'm not smart enough to pronounce that, to a duel. Loco has a whole town taken hostage by his gang, and Silence is given the choice of trying to save them even though he's very weak, or running away with his girlfriend. He makes a heroic choice to save the town. Now Silence isn't exactly badass, at least compared to other western heroes. He kills a few people and has relatively good aim, but gets beat up quite a bit. So here we finally get to see his skills on full display, the classic western climax with the hero killing the bad guys and saving the civilians. Just kidding, his hand gets shot off. And then he dies. And then his girlfriend runs up and dies with him. And then all the townspeople are executed. Loco sadistically doesn't give Silence a duel, he just unfairly executes him and every innocent person in town. It's an appropriately dark ending for a dark film, but it's not out of place at all. Nothing I've told you about this film would point to Victoria's ending. Silence is not badass, he's arguably not even that skilled. Loco is not honorable, so of course he doesn't give him a fair duel. There's nothing indicating a happy ending, but you just assume that to be the case because that's what's supposed to happen. It makes fun of our optimism and makes for a very powerful ending. And now to switch to the complete opposite of that, Django Unchained had the most satisfying ending on this list. Against all the odds, Django ends up free again and gives a revenge as bloody and cold as the rest of the film.
In the sweet by and by, oh.
The shot of him coming out of the shadows and towering over the men is so well done, as well as the quick draw that comes after. There's no close-up of the eyes or tension in the scene, Django just executes them, showing how he's already won. Which may sound lame, but after the suspense of the rest of the movie, it's very satisfying.
I said tell Miss Laura goodbye.
Bye, Miss Laura.
The way she flies out of frame is hilarious. I like how Steven drops a king and starts walking normally. It shows that his persona of an old man is all facade to get better treatment, but it could also signify him tipping his king over after losing, like what you do while playing chess.
I count 6 shots, nigga.
I count 2 guns, nigga.
That's one of the coolest lines I ever heard in my life, and the following monologue as Django kneecaps Steven is well written too. The slow pan revealing the dynamite is great, but it's what follows later that puts it on this list. The soundtrack of this film is insane, and the reprise of the theme song makes the scene amazing. This specific shot of Django looking at the house with the smoke circling around the camera is why Tarantino is one of the best to ever do it, and he will be showing up again, don't worry. The explosion, the slow motion walk, that bittersweet flashback to King Schultz, and the perfectly placed end credits all make for an amazing ending to an amazing movie. I haven't seen the rest of his filmography, but Paul Thomas Anderson left his mark with There Will Be Blood, a brutal film about a money-hungry man who puts his wealth over his family. By the end of the movie, he's alone in his mansion with his son hating him until Eli comes in. The beginning of the scene has Daniel laying drunk in a bowling alley, a place where most people have fun with friends and loved ones, but instead he's passed out alone drunk, perfectly showing how his life is now. Daniel has made it pretty clear how much he hates Eli, and all comes to a head here. If the entire film is Daniel's life slowly falling apart, this is where he finally snaps. So first of all, the acting.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up!
This entire scene, I'm just in awe of the acting of both Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano. They alone put the scene on this list. This may be the most intense ending on the list too, as Daniel's anger intensifies until he starts attacking him. The shot of him throwing a bowling ball into a bucket of water that splashes into the camera, followed by him walking to Eli like a monster, shows how well PTA's directing complements the performance. He kills Eli with a bowling pin and collapses onto the floor. His waiter comes in and sees a bloodshed on the ground.
I'm finished.
This is a perfect line to end the film with, as it has so many meanings. This could obviously be a tongue-in-cheek way of saying the film is over. It could mean that his business is finished because he's probably going to be in jail. I've heard some people make parallels to Jesus Christ's last words on the cross. It could be him telling his waiter that he's done with his breakfast, or it could mean he's finally gotten revenge on Eli, a man he definitely wanted to kill the entire movie. Either way, this ending was a punch to the gut. Any longtime fans of the channel will know that my favorite movie of all time is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Admittedly, my favorite scene of all time is a Mexican standoff. So why did I choose for a few dollars more instead? Well, there's a good 15 minutes in between the duel and the actual ending, so it's not as much of an ending as it is a climax. The duel in this one is definitely the end of the movie though, and it's almost as good as The Good, the Bad, and the Uglies. For some context, since this is an older movie, this film centers around Colonel Mortimer and Manco, two bounty hunters going after the dangerous criminal El Indio. While for Manco it's just business, it's shown that Mortimer has a personal vendetta against him, and they both have similar music boxes. The Colonel's gun is on the ground and El Indio is ready for a duel.
Try and shoot me, Colonel. Just try.
The acting from Cleve Van Chief is amazing here. The grief in his eyes when he knows he can't get revenge is so good, and right before El Indio can kill him, did I mention Ennio Morricone did the score for this film? The soundtrack is 50% why this film is on this list, as well as Sergio Leone's beautiful directing. Manco gives the Colonel his gun, giving him a fair shot.
Now we start.
That line from Eastwood with the music amping up is one of my favorite moments of the entire Dollars trilogy. You can see how much the scene influenced The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly standoff. It's like a predecessor to that scene while having entirely different contexts. The chime ends and Indio dies. And props to Gian Maria Volante, who plays both Indio and Ramon in A Fistful of Dollars. His work in the trilogy goes highly unappreciated. He picks up Indio's watch and looks at the picture inside.
There seems to be a family resemblance.
Naturally, between brother and sister.
What a natural way to convey exposition and explain why this duel was so important to him. And this last moment between the two partners is very satisfying.
You become rich.
You mean we've become rich, old man?
No, it's all for you. I think you deserve it.
What about a partnership?
Maybe next time.
Sergio Leone may be known for The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Once Upon a Time in the West, and Once Upon a Time in America. And while those are all masterpieces, I feel that For a Few Dollars More is underappreciated, and the ending is proof of that. Reservoir Dogs is just one of the amazing films from Tarantino, but its ending sticks out as being the most haunting. All the build-up and conflict of the film finally comes to a head when Mr. White, Nice Guy Eddie, Mr. Pink, and Joe come back to the warehouse to find Mr. Blonde dead and Mr. Orange on the ground bleeding. Joe and Eddie think that Mr. Orange is a rat that they've been talking about, while Mr. White believes that he's just a good kid and that Mr. Blonde deserved it. It may be gimmicky to end this film with a standoff, but the conflict is well earned here. Joe's shown that he doesn't trust anyone, and Eddie is of course going to support his dad. They're also both friends of Mr. Blonde, so they don't believe he would betray them. Even though it seems obvious that Mr. Orange is a spy at this point, Mr. White sees him as a son and sees Mr. Blonde as a psychopath who kills innocent people. So of course he's going to take Mr. Orange's side. All the while Mr. Pink yells at them to be professional, as he's the only one who doesn't let his emotions get the better of him. It's perfectly set up and well executed.
Larry, stop pointing that fucking gun at my dad!
But not why it's on this list. Joe and Eddie are dead, Mr. Pink runs out with the briefcase, and Mr. White crawls up to Mr. Orange after winning the shootout. Mr. Orange, consumed with guilt after killing the woman, decides to tell him the truth. I'd like to add that I watched Mean Streets for the first time yesterday, and Harvey Keitel is such an underrated actor. Michael Madsen and Steve Buscemi may be the scene stealers, but on rewatch I appreciate his performance more, especially with this scene. The grief on Mr. White's face knowing that he killed his friends for nothing is amazing. He points the gun to Mr. Orange, and we hear the police come in off screen.
Drop the fucking gun! I'm gonna fucking blow you away!
Never has the last shot of a film given me so many goosebumps like Jesus. It's a dark but earned ending to a great film. I know I gave a spoiler warning earlier in the video, but for this film in particular, really don't spoil yourself on it. It's one of the darkest, intense, and most impactful endings to a thriller I've ever seen. I'm not even gonna give context, just watch the movie and come back. The build up to the scene is immaculate. In most films we would already be at the credits. The killer is caught, but the investigation isn't over. The way John Doe talks and acts in the car ride gives off the feeling that he knows something we don't. You know something is going to go wrong here, you just don't know what, which is a great feeling for a film to give you. It's like Alfred Hitchcock's bomb under the table analogy, but you just don't know where the bomb is or when it's going to blow. The setting of the phone towers and the orange tint of the lens adds to the tension, but it's when the bots comes to the picture that the scene becomes great. Morgan Freeman's reaction does the heavy lifting. I love that you never actually see what's inside the bots. The way the music amps up afterwards brings the whole thing together. Even though I prefer Zodiac, this may be David Fincher's best directing. The way the camera is still and stable when showing John Doe but shaky under focus on Mills is brilliant. The dichotomy here is amazing. Somerset on the left is telling Mills to not kill him as that's what John wants, while John on the right is egging him on. Like an angel on one shoulder and the devil on another.
She begged for her life. Shut up! And for the life of the baby inside of her. He didn't know.
I love the look on Somerset's face after that. The whole scene is trying to convince Mills to not kill him, but after revealing he had a baby, he knows what's going to happen. We see a quick flash of his life and he shoots John Doe. The music is eerie and there's no satisfaction after killing him. We see Mills in the back of a police car. Ends with someone asking Somerset where he'll be, to which he replies,
Around.
It's a sad note to end with both characters. As a whole film, Somerset is looking forward to retirement, but at the end he decides to stay, either because he can't stand to see terrible things like this happen, or he simply can't live a normal life after this. The line the film ends with is perfect.
Ernest Hemingway once wrote, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." I agree with the second part.
After 3 hours of compelling character drama, 6 hours if you include the first film, we finally get to the end of the Godfather duology, and damn is it a good ending. So good I haven't seen the third film and I don't think I'm going to, in fear that it ruins this ending. RoboCop was supposed to be in this video, but I watched the second one and now it's not anymore, so I'm being careful here. We get a montage of all Michael's enemies dying one by one, mirroring the first film. But while the montage in the first film is more satisfying and justifiable, the one here feels meaner and more bleak like the rest of the film, especially in Michael killing his brother Fredo. Killing Fredo represents him killing his humanity. We cut from that dark note to flashbacks showing the whole family, including Fredo, before it all fell apart. They're all having dinner and Michael tells him that he joined the army. His brothers are devastated. Vito spent a lot of money on his college and to them he's throwing away that big opportunity. The only one to congratulate him is ironically Fredo, the brother he kills at the end. We see his resentment of his family in the scene, as it ends with him alone on the dinner table while they sing happy birthday in the other room. The last 40 seconds of this film perfectly shows the whole point and just the position of the movie. While we see Michael alone in his room, it faces Vito outside with his family, happy and content with life. We then cut to Michael sitting alone on the bench. He has no wife, no friends, and no family. While Vito turned his business into a family, Michael turned his family into a business. In a way, he won at the end. All his enemies are dead and he's the biggest crime boss in the world, but he lost his humanity on the way. The last shot of him thinking in the park, full regret with his wedding ring in frame showing how he misses his wife, is such a perfect shot to end the film with. It says so much with so little, and the sun setting with the leaves on the ground amplifies the depressing nature of the scene. I don't think The Godfather Part 2 is as good as Part 1, as I sorely miss the family dynamic of the first film, and this one feels empty in comparison. Oh wait, that's the point. Okay, I should probably rewatch this film. Either way, the ending is perfect and reevaluates everything you saw before. Roman Polanski's Chinatown is considered a masterpiece by many people, and I think a lot of it has to do with the ending. After investigating the corrupt billionaire Noah Cross, Jake tells the detectives where Evelyn is with her daughter Catherine. I'll be honest, I don't remember all the details, but the important part is that Noah Cross is a terrible person who did disgusting stuff with his daughter, and he's trying to get Evelyn. It all leads to a standoff with Evelyn and the cops.
Evelyn, put that gun away. Let the police handle this.
He owns the police!
This revolution truly shows how much influence Cross has, and Polanski's lack of blocking and cuts here adds to the chaos of the scene. I find Cross's reaction interesting. Most people would yell in pain, but he just looks annoyed and not even that hurt. The film avoids humanizing him as much as possible, and appropriately so. Evelyn tries to run away, but is shot by the detectives. Ironically, she's shot through the same eye she had a flaw in the iris, which can be symbolic of how people who see corruption will be blinded or taken out. The image of Cross pulling the girl away into the darkness is horrifying, as well as Jack Nicholson's face of disgust. Evelyn is dead, Cross has a girl, and Jake can't do anything to stop it. But it's a Nets line that puts it on this list.
Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown.
This is the best final line of any film. It doesn't just refer to Chinatown, but any corrupt place. A crowd of people see the corruption right in front of them, but they're none the wiser. It's a depressing and hopeless ending, but a very impactful one. Damien Chazelle's Whiplash is a masterpiece of acting and writing, but the editing and directing truly shines through at the end. We see Andrew finally getting over his nerves and leaves the band himself to play Whiplash. J.K. Simmons' annoyed and angry reactions to this brings the whole scene together, as well as how he slowly starts to get more into it and respect Andrew. It's a very satisfying scene of Andrew finally doing well, improving himself, and it helps that the music is really good too. This part has been stuck in my head for a while. Even though he's a terrible person, it's satisfying to see Fletcher being proud of his student, but that may not be a good thing. There's a lot of discussion about this ending, as some see it as a happy one where Andrew finally becomes a great musician, up there with Charlie Parker, while others see it as the abuser getting what he wants and winning at the end. I think the ending works with either perspective or both. We see how Fletcher slowly goes back to conducting Andrew and taking control again, and his father's reaction seems more like a look of horror than him being impressed. At the end, Andrew doesn't look at the crowd or his father's reaction, he looks at Fletcher. When Fletcher doesn't react at first, he looks worried. When Fletcher smiles, he sees as approval. Even after all the abuse and manipulation, he's still his puppet. In the scenes where he's drumming, Fletcher purposely is above him while Andrew literally looks up to him. It's both satisfying and kind of scary in retrospect, yet all around a fantastic end to this film. And that final cut may be my favorite of all time. With that said, the best ending of all time obviously is... Okay, in all seriousness though, The Irishman has a very simple ending, but one that has stuck with me ever since I've seen it. It's hard to end a 3.5-hour film. Even films like Lawrence of Arabia and Killers of the Flower Moon don't really do it for me. But The Irishman may have the best ending of all time. The film is about the life of Frank, a gangster who goes up the ranks of the mafia. He kills his best friend for his boss and doesn't spend a lot of time with his daughters. The way this film conveys his family is very smart. They show up for breakfast and watch TV, but we never see Frank actually have a conversation with his kids or even his wife. Frank does not care about his family, at least compared to his work. After the war, Frank needed something else to latch onto, the closest thing being the Italian mafia. And after all the people he killed, all the blood and sweat he gave to them, it was all for nothing. Everyone dies or goes to jail, everyone besides Frank. In most cases, it will look like he won. He spent some time in jail, but he got out of the game alive and can die an old man. But after neglecting them, his family wants nothing to do with him. He has no one and even buys his own coffin. At the end, he is talking to the pastor until he starts to leave, saying he'll be back after Christmas. Frank doesn't even know it's Christmas time.
I ain't going nowhere.
It's also worth noting that Scorsese is usually really good directing scenes during Christmas. Just look at Goodfellas or even earlier in this film. He makes Christmas look alive, but there's no decorations and the room is completely gray. Purposely, there's no life left. He also tells him to leave the door a little open after he leaves. And my theory is that he likes it slightly open so he can see people pass by. He gets no visitors except for the priest. We get a shot of him by himself in a room completely isolated, and then we cut to black. And knowing the real Frank Sheeran died mid-December that year, this is the end of his life. He killed countless people, lost his family, and betrayed a man who was his brother, and this was his grand prize. Most gangster movies show the character dying or going to jail, but this film shows that even if you do survive and you don't go to jail, there still isn't a good ending. Scorsese's work honestly could have ended here. I love Killers of the Flower Moon, but this feels like his thesis statement, what his whole career has been about. A lot of films have the tendency to just end. Goodfellas, Casino, Raging Bull, they all end with the character doing something menial, like picking up a newspaper paper or talking to a mirror. There's no conclusion, which for a while I didn't like, but after watching The Irishman, I finally understand. Life doesn't have a climax. There's no big conclusion to your story. You just live on until you die. And that ironically makes this film so much more tragic. Knowing that Henry Hill lives in paranoia, that Jake LaMotta lives in regret knowing that I ruined his life, and that Frank will be in that room for the rest of his life alone, wondering if it was all worth it. So now we have one more question. How do you end a video about endings?